Gerry from Heritage Logging. Gerry, good morning.
Morning, Bill. Morning, guys.
So is this weather's kind of iffy out there. You never know when you're busy.
I'm busy, and the
every
weather's
day.
making it twice as hard.
So the minute it rains, you could do this. If it wasn't, I think we had to schedule you on a couple of different days. If it was going to rain, we'd get you. If it wasn't going to rain,
Yeah, it's supposed to storm today, so you're blessed.
Yeah. Okay, we're blessed with you. All right. So I wanted to talk about get right off the bat into the tariffs and how it is affecting your industry. Does it affect it positively? And if it doesn't, do you feel in the long haul it's going to affect it positively? What do you think?
The tariffs, we got the Chinese and the Canadians are the parts for the lumber markets. Hardwood for the Chinese, Canadians, the softwood markets. The new USA, Mexico-Canada deal looks like it's going to happen. This is a positive thing for us. The log buyers are looking at this. Everybody's looking. This deal is completed. China's not going to want to sit out in the cold for too long. They're going to come to the table. With this deal we currently have, it looks like it's going to help us on our softwood market with Canada, our trades that go back and forth with them. The tariffs that they over-tariff us go into their markets, and then we're under-tariffing them coming into our markets. That's getting settled.
So when we talked to you last week,
well,
it was
it's NAFTA thing, or whatever we're calling it.
Right,
It
this
hadn't
is
been done.
new
This
as
is
in
So
just last week here.
So you were kind of negative last week. You felt it was really hurting.
Yes.
And it is still hurting.
Oh, it's still hurting. It's going to be for a little bit, but if this turns around, if this actually happens, we can pretty much figure that China's not going to do anything until after our elections are done.
Right.
So they're going to be waiting, sitting on the fence until that, try to hurt us as long as they can, and then as soon as that happens, they're probably going to come to the table. Once that goes, we should see the markets turn around. We're hoping, a lot of people in the industry are hoping that by December the hardwood markets come back because that's our biggest plus in our area. Mm-hmm. And hopefully the softwoods, we got all the tornadoes and hurricanes and the fires. And now with the new trade deals hopefully happening, the softwood market should explode too. So it should be a lot better.
You're feeling optimistic all of a sudden.
I am.
And I want to say, you talk about the hardwood market here. And if anybody has any questions, whether it's a tree in your backyard, you want to take one down, you do that as well.
Yes,
you'll
full tree removal, we do that.
Clean it up for them. And
yep, it's right down to the stump. We do that residentially, commercially. We work for municipalities. So if sometimes you see a tree truck or guys in trees on the side of the road in the middle of the city, that could possibly be us.
And this is your field. You're educated in this, right?
Actually, my education is architectural engineering. I have a dual degree in that.
Okay.
I used to work locally for an engineering firm.
Oh, you did?
My abilities in this is from experience, from doing it.
Got it.
Grew up logging as a kid and took other experiences and melded them all into one.
Now, you say the hardwood market, so somebody in their backyard could have a tree that could be very valuable here. They'll cut it down, they'll chop it up, put it at the side of the road, and away it goes. They just threw away money.
Yep. Hardwoods being maple, ash, cherry, birch. There's other species within the which call hardwoods. Mm-hmm. Basically anything that's got leaves on it is considered a hardwood. Anything that has a needle on it is a softwood.
Understood.
Your maples and cherries are your two most common backyard hardwood species that would be worth some kind of money.
Yeah. When you say some kind, you might very well retain whatever it costs to have it taken down and then make a little money after that.
It's possible.
Okay.
For a cherry job we did this summer in Rome, they pretty much paid for the job with the trees took down. I think that maybe a couple $100 out of the pocket.
Wow.
That was it. Yeah. And we took down over a dozen trees.
Wow. I had a black walnut in my backyard, and it was over a patio. And the patio just ended up getting stained. It's a messy
terrible,
tree.
Yeah.
The other thing about a black walnut is nothing will grow around it because the roots are...
The root system poisons the ground.
Yeah.
You'll find the same poison within the bark, even within the nuts. The bark inside the cambium layer will actually give, like when I'm working on them, will give me a chemical burn from this. It's the same poison that does that.
Really an awesome odor, though, they give off.
Yeah, the nuts, it smells to me like the old Comet.
Yeah, it does. It's a very strong smell.
Oh, very strong.
Yeah. So, chop the tree down. If I had you come, what would a black oak be worth?
Black walnut.
Or black walnut, I'm sorry.
Black walnut averages about $2 a board foot. So that's from your very top selling log to lowest grade log. Top selling logs can go for $8 a board foot. That's where everybody sees on the internet. They'll say, "Oh wow, this black walnut's worth $25,000." that's the perfect tree in the perfect circumstance, the perfect size, perfect
So you
everything.
so if you had the right size tree, an old black walnut that was in great shape, you're saying that could be worth $25,000?
A single tree can be, yes.
Wow.
But
crazy.
I only know one buyer that's actually bought one in his last 10 years of buying.
But you know somebody that did?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So one thing you mentioned earlier was about the natural disasters, hurricanes, fires. Does that help the industry in the Northeast, obviously, because those trees have all been destroyed?
It helps the Northwest.
Not to say that that's a negative is a positive.
Yeah,
but.
the Northwest has a big chunk of the softwood markets. So that's where you get your plywoods, coastal lumber, things like that. Those come from there. Obviously, with any kind of product that's related to building, doesn't matter if it's the floods down south, fires in the west, the industry as a whole in the whole country, it works together. So it's a benefit for everybody as far as the rebuild needed going on. Softwood is the plywoods, the laminated materials.
Yeah.
They're going to kind of drive that market forward.
Okay.
All right, I want to
help in its recovery.
By the way, I have a lilac tree that we bought, and I bought it in the spring. It looks really nice. It's growing pretty well and everything, but I didn't plant it. So is it okay to plant stuff in the fall?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good time to plant it.
Fall's best time for some of your prunings.
Okay.
You're less likely to get disease, get insects into any of your pruning holes, the marks on them. So do it in the fall, early spring, especially your apples, peach, cherries, things like that. You want to do the pruning this time of year. Planting's fine this time of year, too.
Got it. Okay. I'm going to take another tree down. I think I'm going to do this one on my own. It's a small crabapple tree. Big mess. And the leaves are off it already. That's probably a bad tree.
I've actually noticed a lot of the apples lost leaves early this year.
Yeah.
Some of them had a little bit too much stress, but could be just the fact it needs to be pruned.
Got it.
You have all the suckers. Everything's going vertically off each limb.
Yeah.
That's what needs to come off.
I'm going to prune this. It's going right to the ground. That's how this one's getting.
The ultimate prune.
That's how this one is getting pruned. 315-736-0186 if you have any questions. Manansky.
So one of the things you do as well is, for instance, if somebody has a camp, you can go up and they have a property and they want to clear it. Maybe they want to have like a yard or something. You'll go in. You know what's dead. You know what should stay. You've talked to me before about.
That'd be a big job, by the way, going on clearing out a property.
We clear large sections. Sometimes it's complete dense wood where you can't even see through the woods, and we'll clear it off for however big the homeowner wants.
How do you start there? Like, where do you start when you're doing something like that?
Drive in, make a hole, and just start digging.
You talked about this idea that you leave some behind so that animals can still eat. There's other things that feed off trees or different types of vegetation.
Yeah, as you go into a property, depending on what we're doing. So if we're doing a lot clearing, like say for around a camp or around a house that maybe was built a little too deep into the woods, we're going to leave certain trees that are aesthetically pleasing. They're going to be growing better for certain species of animals and stuff. You don't willow tree, they're a big tree, they're a messy tree. There's nothing nobody really wants around the house, but a maple, it's a nice pretty tree. It's a good habitat tree. As we move off into the woods and we want to clear the woods back some, when I'm logging, that's when we're leaving certain trees for habitat, more for dead trees. You have trees for bats. You have trees for actually types of ducks, even. Things
really?
That's
cool.
What you call a wood duck. They live in the old holes of the pileated woodpeckers. So if you see a tree like that and it's anywhere near a pond or something, it's a better tree to leave, so it's a good habitat for them.
Got it. So basically, when you're clearing, you're considering nature, especially if you want to have a backyard where there is a lot of nature and animals and birds and everything else like that.
Yes.
What are those? The trees that go up and they're like garbage trees, and they have the red cone on them. Again, supposedly they're poisonous. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, poison sumac.
But there are two different kinds, though, right? One is poisonous, one is not.
If it's red, it's going to be itchy.
Okay. So stay clear of that.
It's kind of like when any vine that climbs a tree, it's going to be itchy. Don't touch it.
That's a good lesson in life.
Ticks? Have you seen a lot of ticks this year? Have you run into that problem?
I haven't had much problem this fall. The spring actually I had problems with them.
Well, what we've been told is spring is a hot area, and then the fall. By the time you get into the fall, it gets pretty nasty. But there's this new tick that has now been spotted out in western New York. I talked about it on the East Coast, and it basically it can infect you within 15 minutes, and it can be fatal.
Really?
Yeah, and they spotted it in western New York. It's the furthest west it's been spotted. Mike in Whitesboro has a question. By the way, this is Gerry on the line, Gerry with us in studio, and he's from Heritage Logging. He knows everything there is to know about what we're talking about. That makes sense. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, guys. My question is the practice of cutting a tree wound, like you cut a branch off. Used to be people painted them over. Is there any real merit to doing that? Is that good for the tree or unhealthy?
There's actually a new school of thought on that. Some still say painting the wound's a good thing, but a lot of people are going to let nature be nature. If you're going to create the wound, as long as you've done it in a proper way, go ahead and let it heal over itself. Don't bother painting it.
Okay.
Proper way.
Literally painting it?
There's wound sealer. It used to be use tar. There's different products they've used through the years to coat it so
and you
the
see
bugs
it.
can't get in.
You'll see as you go along, you'll see a tree, and somebody will have.
Yeah, it'll be like a
Trying to
black. It looks
protect
like
it,
black
yeah.
paint.
Yeah.
But when you're prune back to the last ring you can see on that limb, just before that.
Oh, okay.
Don't get in deeper. Don't go way out. If you're way out from that, it's got to rot that section all the way back till it can scar over.
Oh, okay. All right. Does that answer your question, Mike?
Yeah, I was just concerned about it because with all the wind damage and tree damage we had this year, we had one that split in the yard, and I cut it off, clean with a chainsaw, and I was covering it, and then somebody, I don't know, everybody's got an opinion. They go, "Oh, you shouldn't do that; it harms the tree." And I was like, "Well, I never knew that," but so that was my nature of my question.
Sometimes you just got to do the best you think.
Yeah,
I've
the best you
actually
can
gone
with
so
it.
far
Yeah.
as putting ice and water on a tree before.
Really?
To try to cover a wound that I had to create. It was a large limb hanging over a house. Tree wasn't healthy. They wanted to keep it. Had to take it off. It was already damaged. Had a split. Big ant pocket in it. So we already had damage. If I left it open, obviously that hole is going to bring in more
Mike.
water. It's going to do more damage to the tree. So
Yeah.
I actually installed ice and water over it to try to help it.
Wow. Did it?
You do it. It's still living today.
It's still living.
Still doing
All
well,
right.
but you do what you can.
Ice and water. That's funny.
Somebody asking a huge acorn tree in their backyard, and it has a 3-foot base. Any value?
3-foot base. So if we're talking on the stump,
Yes.
on the stump 3 foot, so that's probably a 20-inch tree, 22-inch tree, somewhere around there. It could be red oak, white oak. Right now, I believe they're selling around 50 cents, 60 cents a board foot.
So a tree.
It's not worth a lot of money.
Not worth a lot.
No, if it's just a simple oak, you're maybe $200.
If it looks nice, leave it.
I would.
Yeah.
It's not really worth taking down to make money off it. Most trees aren't worth taking down to take money off them.
But you might have a $25,000 tree in your backyard if you have one of those.
Everybody's running out there.
Everybody's out there in the
What
lottery.
is
tree
that
lottery
tree?
right now.
Yeah. We talked about the ash trees, which are just becoming a thing of the past in this area.
They will eventually. They'll be gone.
Yeah. This beetle that is getting into the bark and just destroys the tree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kills off the cambium layer, which is what the tree needs to survive with how it eats food.
And very quickly, too.
One of the things you do also, if somebody has a hunting property, you will remove tree stands for them and move them for them. The other thing I want to ask you is emergency services. What's a nightmare story you had where maybe a branch went through a roof or
Emergency
tree
services. Well, it was close to that. A guy was standing in his house watching the big storm, 4th of July storm a few years back. Wow, look at that. Went outside to get a better view. Right where he'd just been standing at the top of a large white pine came straight down through the kitchen.
Wow.
And it was about probably 2 foot diameter right where he was standing, right through the house.
And if
It's hard to take that out of the house once it's in there.
It is, yeah. I'll bet. If you have these big trees, like where I had lived before, there's humongous pine trees. And everybody always said, I'd be worried about that. Some storm comes through because pines they'll snap.
Soft. They will snap.
And I'm like, well, I'm assuming the roof would protect us. It's not like that huge tree would go through the roof and down into our bedrooms.
They can if it's possible.
Well,
anything's
so
possible.
We moved. So the tree stayed, we moved.
So you're saying, I mean, this is a good point, too. So you can't just, if a tree or a branch falls through the roof and it's still kind of going through, you can't just pull it back up because you're going to do more damage to the house. So you kind of have to like surgically go in and remove the branch in the house.
Think of it as like a hook. When a branch is sticking up and the limb's sticking down, you can't just pull it back through. So we got to get inside somehow to cut it apart to actually get it out of there.
I know that people will remember this, and it's no longer there. But going up to Cooperstown on Route 28, going through Richfield Springs, through Canada-Rego Lake on the west side of the lake, there used to be a house or camp there where the tree was growing up through the porch. And they left it, and they built around it. And as years went on, the tree got bigger and bigger and probably too big where they had to take it down. But that tree literally was going up through their porch. It was really kind of cool.
I actually see that. It is kind of neat.
It's neat.
Not saying you got to cut down every tree around the house.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Just look for
Fair
safety.
enough.
But for the hunting stuff.
Yes.
We offer one thing I call hire an arborist. I'm sure you've heard of guys, bad accidents happening when they're changing tree stands. Mm-hmm. Two buddies go out in the woods, go climb a tree stand, take it down, move it someplace else. Somebody falls, breaks the back, breaks the leg, whatever. Family members it's happened to even.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I'm the guy you want to call. My life is spent in trees. I'm a big hunter. Call me up. I come out, help you move your tree stand. I'll go up the tree, take it all down. I got a four-wheeler. We load it on there, take it where we want to do it, reset it. And then you get up in your tree stand, and you can sit in their safety and point out trees that you want to take limbs off. Point out trees. Okay, go up there, that third one out. Take that limb off.
Because I've missed my prize buck because that tree's been
that
there.
Limb right there. Take that limb off. Instead of guys, they'll hang off the edge of their tree stands with an old pole saw and trying to cut these limbs off and I'm falling down their heads. I need to do it.
That's a service you provide. Quickly, Sean, I'm running out of time. Sean in Boonville has a question. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I've got staghorn sumac on my property.
Okay.
And I Googled it, and you can use it as a spice, and you can make a drink out of it. The red cone is kind of lemon-flavored.
So that must not be the poisonous kind, then?
No, staghorn sumac.
Okay. So does it look like they all kind of look alike, don't they? I think they do. You got to know your stuff, though. It's kind of like mushrooms, and
there's certain things I don't.
So have you ever have you used it, Sean? Have you used it for a spice or anything?
Yeah, I made some tea out of it.
All right, good for you.
Well, he's still standing.
And you're still with us.
It wasn't
Sean.
this morning, was it?
No.
All right,
good. All right,
good deal. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So
Bye.
the sumac is not all bad, is what he's saying. Pretty cool. Again, like those mushrooms. Some people know what they're doing.
Puffballs are big right now. Joe Lode's excited.
Some people know what they're doing. Others die. So be careful out there. Okay, Gerry at Heritage Logging. Your phone number again for people to reach out to you?
315-796-2941. You can also text me at that number if you have questions.
Love it. Thank you for the time. We'll do it again.
All right.
Got a break at WIBX.